Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the old dirty workbench. Uh, this is Eagles Nest Tactical. My name is Zach. And after enough requests, I'm going to give you a video on how to assemble the spade grip. So these should be all the parts that you're starting with. Whether you printed it or you purchase it off the website, these should be all the pieces. We'll set these off to the side for now. And we'll start with the main body. So the main body is going to have two holes in it. Now these holes are just going to be regular holes. What I recommend is you go ahead and take some sort of a tap and run it through these holes. This is M8 by 125. If you do not have a tap, what you can do is you can take your bolt and take like a grinder or a Dremel or some kind of a cutting wheel, and you can cut a notch in the first few threads, and that'll act kind of like a tap or like a thread cleaner, but it'll run its way in there. Just go slow, don't bust it, or you could try to heat it up a little bit, get it to going a little easier, however you figure it out. But I found that just running a tap through it is the easiest way. Just get those threads started. Once you have that, then you have your top and bottom plate. Top plate's small, bottom plate is a little longer. And make sure you have it oriented with the holes on the top plate facing up and these holes on the bottom plate facing down. You're going to put it together just like so. We're going to take our 5/16 carriage bolts and we're going to pass them all the way through. And they go all the way down until the squares lock in. Then you're going to take your spacer and your lock nut. You don't have to hammer down on these things. Just run them until they're snug. And this is just a 13mm socket. Wrench, whatever you got. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but just snug them down. Once they're nice and snug, it should look something like this. Now, the next step I like to go into is you're going to take both your handles. They are marked with a LT and RT. It's left top and right top. So you can slide this in here. Now that you have it together, they should hold nice and snug. Take your carriage bolt, line up the holes, pass it all the way through, and it will lock all the way in. And then down here, you're going to take your washer and your nut. And again, you're just going to snug it up. I generally run this to the point to where the handle stops to wiggle. You can't easily manipulate it. Nice and tight. And the letters will face that way when you put it in. All right, now we're here. After that, take our two side plates. Orientation doesn't really matter, left or right. What face you want facing out. But I'm just going to slap them in there like this. I like to pre-fit my bolts because sometimes, you know, the seam lines and stuff can make it tough to put the bolt through. So like this one doesn't want to play with me. These have a relatively snug tolerance. All right, now that you have your side plates on, you're going to go ahead and grab these little 3mm locking nuts. And then if you want to use a socket or a wrench to tighten these down, it is a 5.5. Again, you don't have to hammer down on these. Just get them snug. Now you're going to find the longer of the two springs, right? You're going to push it into the butterfly trigger. And then you're also going to take your spacer while you're here and drop it in. Make sure it sits flat facing you, just like that. And then you're going to take the spring and go into that hole right there. And while you're here, you're going to take your third bolt. Hold your tongue just right. There we go. There it is. And then you're gonna, if I can friggin' grab the thing, you're gonna grab your last nut, your last locking nut. And then this one, you don't want to tighten it down because you don't want it to pinch the butterfly trigger. But after you're done running the nut on, you can go snug, and then I back it off just a little bit. Make sure that it's freely moving. There's nothing grabbing it. Sorry about that. FedEx guys showed up. So where were we? All right, we got this guy all assembled. I guess we can just pre-place these for later. Oh, come on. If I can get my fingers to work. All right, and then we'll set this over here for now. And we will get to working on all these other pieces. All right, so here is the arm assembly. What you're going to do is you're going to take your plastic cylinder, put it on here like this, and then you're going to take your TPU drum, little squishy guy, put it on there like that. Then you're going to click them together. Right? If you want this to hold together while you're doing the rest of the assembly, so if you have a lower that has the replaceable trigger guard, right, you can fully assemble this as long as you don't have a really fat pistol grip on it. This is made to go over your standard plastic, you know, polymer style. It'll slide right over it. Give me a second, I'll go grab one. So we'll use this for example. This can slide right over and go on, right? And then you can just take your trigger guard and put it back up underneath. Or if it will not fit around your pistol grip, you can assemble it essentially just by going in here like that, and then putting your bolts in. So anyways, slap them together like that. Oop. Get another washer. Push it through, throw your washer down, take your 10 mil, whatever these are, M6 lock nut, and then do the same thing on this side. And then that'll hold together now. You can tighten them up if you want to. You don't have to yet. I'm going to go ahead and just snug them down. Oh, I need a second one. All right, now that that's like that, what I recommend here is you're going to take your 1/4 inch thread lock nut and you're going to slide it in this hole, and then be right back. And then what you're going to do, you're going to go ahead and you're going to run this through. And oh, of course, what the hell did I do with it? All right, just take like a pair of pliers and hold on to it. Then you're gonna run it out just until the nylon's activated. You don't have to go any further than that. Then you can go ahead and push this on. You want to get it until your holes are lined up. Then you can take your 2 slightly longer M3 screws or bolts. And they will pass all the way through until they just barely protrude. And these are cut out for hex, but not always do they like to hold on to the lock nut. So if they spin a little, it is what it is. But you just go until these are snug down. They don't have to be uber tight. They're just stopping this from coming off. All right, now that they're all snug down, what you're going to do is just go ahead and run this nut in until it touches. And what this does is it stops this rod and that nut from trying to push out. Just holds them together. Definitely can't tell that I've used these to hold on to something while spray painting. Now you got these guys assembled and these guys assembled. Imagine that this was on your firearm, right? Just like that. What you would do is you pass this over your buffer tube. I would assemble it onto one, but I don't know if the old YouTube likes that. But make sure your spacer ring is up. Go ahead and slide it through the hole. And then the last step is you need your lock nut, your spring, and your last two washers. You're going to slide a washer on here. Now let me flip this thing around. Your spring, your last washer, and your lock nut. And then what's going to happen is it's going to look something like that, right? What you're going to do is you're going to adjust this nut to tighten this spring until there is no more wiggle up here. So you're just going to bring it back until it's just touching the trigger. You do not want it to be back far enough that it, is able to apply pressure to the trigger, because the problem is if it's always under tension, it can cause failure, with your fire control group. Or failure to reset is really the big thing here. That's what's going to happen. It's just going to hold the trigger back. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And if you have any questions, feel free to email or call me. I'm usually available Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. business hours. If I don't answer, leave me a message or send me a text. I'll call you or message you back as fast as I can. But all right, well, I guess have fun and stay super safe.